Thank you. Richard Fuller, please.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for the background. But obviously, right now we have constituents who are in airports worried about things. They've had their flights cancelled, very disappointed. So what practically can be done now, Mr. Calder?
Thank you for the question. Well, there's so many consumer detriments happening, one of which, and it's really important, this one, and partly the media is to blame, is that everything is chaotic. Now, you haven't got a representative of travel agents here, but I've been speaking to them in advance, and they say that about 1 in 3 questions is from existing customers saying, is my flight to Malaga going to take off on the 7th of August? And obviously nobody knows the answer to that question directly. However, the vast majority of people are getting away. Yes, they might have a 90-minute delay. They might have to queue for an hour when they come back in, but ultimately that's not material. So there's that harm, which is really serious. There is also, I think, the very severe distress of people who suddenly learn that their holiday has been cancelled, and we saw some awful examples of that at the start of the main May bank holiday and the half-term week. And then I would absolutely agree with Sue that there's a lot of consumer detriment going on which involves the way that passengers are treated by airlines.
But short term, you're saying that the airlines and the travel agents are falling short in communication to travellers, and that more assistance could be provided on the ground to help people understand what's really going on.
Oh, of course. I mean, if you're learning your holiday has been cancelled from a police officer at Manchester Airport, something's gone very, very badly wrong with the communication process. And time and again, and I'm sure Sue has heard these stories too, people are finding out through text messages and there's no staff to be seen. I must say that not every airline is having this. Ryanair having a great summer.
I'll come to that in a minute if I can.
Sure.
So just to head you up, I want to hear from you. We'll want to hear from you about some of the differences between some of the airlines. But Ms Davies, you were talking a little earlier about some of these issues long term. So you focus on COVID, but in the medium to long term, what would you want to see change so that these sorts of situations become less commonplace?
I think there's a real issue of compliance with passenger rights and enforcement of consumer rights. And we feel that that's created a culture within the industry where it's acceptable to treat consumers so poorly. As you're saying, there's a lack of immediate information that people need. We've heard lots of stories, as you saying, of people turning up at airports, then being told their flight's going 12 hours later, not having anywhere to sleep, sleeping on the airport floor, and then finding that the next flight has been cancelled as well. So just appalling communication that should be a simple thing to sort out. And I think the overbooking and over-promising that we seem to be seeing is obviously fundamental here. But looking slightly longer term, we think there is a real issue in terms of enforcement and the civil aviation authorities' relationship with the airlines. We think it should. Well, we think it should be enforcing the law, and there's an issue where it doesn't have strong enough powers at the moment. We were pleased in a recent consultation the Department for Transport has proposed that there should be stronger fining powers under an administrative regime for the Civil Aviation Authority. So we would like that to be delivered. But even where we found that there appears to be quite blatant breaches of the law, it can be very difficult to see how the CAA is investigating.
Are you saying today that the CAA is too cosy with the airlines?
We think it's not standing up enough for consumer interests and it's not being proactive enough, and that is leading to this culture where there are many well-known names that feel able to just flout consumer law. We're doing some work at the moment which I can provide the committee with, looking at terms and conditions of airlines, and we'll be publishing that soon. But it's quite incredible that many airlines within their terms and conditions are breaking the law with apparently no consequence.
People today facing the consequences of these things are going to want to hear today which airlines are doing well, which airlines are doing poorly, which ones have been the worst in overbooking, which ones have been worse in cancellation, who's managing well or better than others. So, Ms Davies, who would you say today is doing well, which airline do you think is doing poorly, and why is there a difference?
Well, we're particularly hearing from people who are affected by British Airways cancellations and EasyJet cancellations, but I don't want to just focus on those. There are obviously some specific issues there, but we feel that this is a systemic problem across the sector that needs a longer term solution. We've seen throughout the pandemic people who were entitled to compensation, they had a real problem getting that compensation back. We found time and again that it can be incredibly difficult, even when you're entitled to be rerouted or have compensation, that people will often be given the wrong information or just not given information, and when they try to actually pursue their rights to get what they're entitled to, it can be unbelievably complicated.
Not quite. I need to press you on this because I asked for specifics about airlines and you mentioned two, but then you mentioned that those were systemic problems. So yes. I think, is it the case that there are certain airlines that are just falling short, and what is the particular reason? Mr. Calder, is there any particular airlines you think of?
Well, yes, I can give you the complete leaderboard. Here you are. Top of the list in terms of cancellations on a daily basis, 114 today is British Airways.
Just because they're big?
No, it's because they have... they're roughly the same size as EasyJet in terms of UK operations, in terms of movements, not some of the other measures. But they're cancelling 114 a day, but they're doing it very gently, so that typically you would find that you booked a flight and then 3 weeks before it's due to go, you're told we're going to move you to this flight. So there is none of the kind of at the gate last minute distress. It is, though, a significant consumer detriment because every day there's about 20,000 seats which are not operating, and that means that the prices on the remaining flights are much higher than they would be. And certainly in terms of UK regional places, you can look at every single UK gateway, UK regional airport to Heathrow today has got at least one cancellation. So they're at the top, but they're doing it gently and nobody's noticing. Next is EasyJet, 55 cancellations to and from the UK and within it this today. They are cancelling much closer in, typically a day or two. Obviously, you'll be talking to Sophie Deckers from EasyJet later, and you can ask her more specifically about this. But they're also doing quite a lot of on-the-day cancellations. Gatwick, by far the worst affected, then Luton and Bristol, and then miscellaneous cancellations. Wizz Air started well. They're having a few problems now, again, with over-promising. And then, well, Ryanair and Jet2, they will have the odd cancellation, because in aviation stuff happens, and in any normal summer every day somebody would cancel a couple of flights, and it would be annoying, but not the scale we're seeing at the moment.
Any airline the two of you would like to mention who's doing a particularly good job in the circumstances?
Well, I'd say Ryanair and Jet2. If I needed to be guaranteed getting there.
Who would agree with that? Yes.
Great publicity. Emma.
Other airlines available. Thank you.